Did you come to this interview by your own will?
I did, yes. I came to this interview on my free will, on my own free will.
Okay. Was anything promised to you if you do this interview?
There was nothing promised to me for doing this interview, no.
Hang on. Guys,
Yeah.
we need quiet.
Yep.
One more time, please.
No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent. Everything that you will tell us during this interview, is it the truth?
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's start with, how did you meet Donald Trump?
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
And how did the initial meeting, how did that work?
Whew. The first time that I met Donald Trump was...
Guys, seriously,
Okay, you can hear that a little
we
bit?
need
Oh, sorry.
absolute quiet.
Okay, sorry.
And the first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, "You need to use a glove." And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, "No one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove." So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties. I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels, I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that, that's what she did, is that she helped girls, get what they wanted, and she could help me get into modeling. That she knew a lot of people that were higher ups, and that it would be no problem. And so that's why, but I would just basically have to come model at a couple of events and meet some people. There would be no sweat. So of course I went. That sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties, and they all looked. Most of them were, my age. There was, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young. So.
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird, but modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. So and then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, "Well, you'll do. I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here." And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me. And I pushed him away, and I said, you know, I'm, because at that point in time, I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So, you know, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him he seemed to take a liking to me because I was I was so young, and I was also a virgin. So I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, you know, the whole glove. He kind of liked things to be his first. You know, if that, for lack of, you know, a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that, you know, she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. You know, I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me. So I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop
You know
it.
what? What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
The reason I'm coming out now is when it happened originally, I just wanted to forget about the whole incident. And when I saw that he was running for president, I felt it was my responsibility to come out and tell our country what kind of man this person is. I don't think that he should even be the dog catcher, let alone running the greatest country in the world. After I met Tiffany at the bus station, she took me to, basically went to her house, her apartment, and got ready. I put on a blonde wig because it seemed fun to pretend to be someone different, but we went to the party that I was basically interviewing for, and Jeffrey Epstein was the one that was running the party. He had a quick meeting with everyone that was employed there, and then he had a private interview with me. The first time that I met Jeffrey Epstein, he did try to force himself inside of me without getting the go-ahead or anything. And then it was probably about the third or fourth party is when he basically forced. It was another massage, and it was basically like, it wasn't sex, but there was penetration, and I told him that I didn't want that, but he kind of got a little irritated. So I don't know. There was something about him that I guess I kind of held him like I held a lot of resentment towards him.
We were underage. We were little girls.
The Miami Herald identified over 60 of his victims, just young middle and high school girls at the time of the abuse. More than a decade later, several of them are talking for the first time about how they were molested by Epstein and believe they were betrayed by the very prosecutors who were supposed to hold Epstein accountable.
They came from fairly disadvantaged backgrounds.